Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Adjust the, no. Can we call this the stitch stream? My lighting's a little funky here. Hold on. Welcome. Today, I have a large quantity of sheaths to stitch. Somebody let me know if the audio is okay, if everything's cool, if the screen is not upside down, all that good stuff. Let me know how the audio, the screen, etc. Let me know how it's coming across. Benjamin, Yukon, no way. All right, thanks, sir. All right. Welcome, Benjamin Brewer. We have got a number of sheaths to stitch up here. So I thought I'd bring you all along. We can hang out, talk about whatever. I wish all of my chat would stay visible. But that's probably asking too much. Gonna put a little oil here in the machine. Before we start stitching. Turn off that heater there. Fan's blowing, making noise. Oh, I forgot where I left off here. Benjamin, yes, this is a walking foot leather sewing machine. It's otherwise known as a saddle stitcher, etc. But yeah, it's specifically designed for leather, heavy stuff. It's definitely a blessing to have, because back in the day I did this all by hand, and that's a lot of work. Very time consuming. So I've got, switch something up here a little bit. We got the sheaths all, well, they're partially done. I've got the loop sewn and the welt installed with the glue and everything. So what we're doing today is stitching the welt, doing the last bit of that. Check something here. So this is the classic Kephart sheath, and here is a classic Kephart knife. Check to see where my welt is on this one here. Goes in like that. Yeah, Benjamin, that's a good question. So if you look at the sheath here, there's 3 layers. The center one is what's called the welt. You can see it right there, and that is what keeps the edge from cutting the threads. If you don't have a welt, it will cut the threads. And only an extremely cheap and crummy knife sheath would not have a welt. I mean, there's other ways of doing it. You could use like copper rivets, and that would obviously not get cut or ruined by the knife, but that could also kind of dull up your knife too, so probably not the best way to do that. This is actually a lot of extra welt on that one there. We do a double stitch on these. You don't have to do a double stitch, it's not really necessary, but if I have the room, I usually do that. See if I can raise this up a little bit. So then you pull the stitches back through to the back side so the ends aren't showing on the front. We'll melt those. We'll melt those later. Okay, we got the phone doing notifications here. We don't need that. So anyway, that's the first pass there, and then I will come back and do another stitching, but I'm going to do all of them on this first pass first, because I've got this little edge stop, the edge stop, which allows me to just run it right up against the edge of the sheath. And it keeps it a consistent distance away from the edge. So it just follows the profile, whatever that is. How's everybody's Tuesday going? The thread I use is it's nylon or some kind of, heavy synthetic, heavy duty nylon type thread. The same kind of thing that like paracord's made out of, basically. So whether that's like some kind of poly or nylon, I don't know, but it's really good stuff. Better drink my coffee before it goes cold. Hey Keith, how's it going? If you stick around, Keith, you'll be seeing your Sasquatch skinner working on the sheath. Gotta sew that up today. My Tuesday's going pretty good. Uh-oh. That didn't sound good. Did something I wasn't supposed to do there. My bobbin did something funky. All right, well, what should we talk about? What is the topic of the day? I'm just going to pull all of these stitches out because I don't know what happened there, but so if we go back through the same holes, of course. Oh, we have something going on with the bobbin here. I don't know why it's doing that. Well, this might be a short video. That's not good. Got a big old gob of thread wound up in there. This does not usually happen, and of course it would happen as soon as I get on a live stream. Yeah. Probably something off with the tension. This came off up there. Well, it's not hard to go back in the same holes as long as you start in one, because it's, you know, it feeds it incrementally. It's the walking foot, this type of machine, it controls the material and feeds it, you know, pushes it forward a certain amount depending on the stitch length that you have it set to. So as long as that's hasn't been affected and you just feed it back through the same, started in the same hole, then it usually doesn't have a problem with that. Okay, so the needle has just nicked something down in here, so it's got a little bit of a lip on it now. Yeah, I really don't usually have this much trouble with the machine, but the tip of the needle has been damaged. You probably can't see it at all, obviously, but it's ever so slightly. And the problem with that is once the needle's not fresh and got a good point on it, it'll a lot of times kind of veer off a little bit when you're stitching, and then it will just run into something and self-destruct even more. So this needle, see, you can get different needles for these and the actual shank thickness. I'm going to go with the thicker needle that I have here. I think that's a thicker one. Yeah. It'll bend less. Okay, put me bobbin back in, eh? Okay, should be good to go. Hopefully it works this time. Let's start on a fresh one here. See if we have any chats. Oh, I got lots of chats. How come? Oh, I got a couple. Everything wears out eventually. One like your kydex sheath, for example, those wear out eventually too. You're gonna probably end up with the retention issue. That's where that's gonna wear out first, most likely, because the kydex sheath, the way it, like when you have the knife, it fits in, it snaps in. That's a wear point every time you remove the knife and put it back in. And eventually, I don't know when, I guess it just depends on how much you take it in and out of the sheath. Eventually that's going to wear out. And that could be a problem depending on the type of sheath. The nice thing about the leather sheath is, you know, the nice thing about this particular style of leather sheath is you're not going to have that issue, that retention issue. So overall, it's going to, as long as it's still holding together, it's gonna hold the knife, you know. But you know, nothing lasts forever. Why that thread keeps coming off the tensioner up there. Man, I'm tired today. I don't know what's going on. Trying to get this big knife order done and out the door, and I'm trying to work out or exercise a little bit, you know. I went running yesterday morning, and I didn't this morning. Benjamin Brewer right now. Jason Ridge-Runner Blades is the only dealer that I have right now, but I do have another guy keeps telling me he's going to order some knives. He's just busy, I guess. And so I'm sure it'll happen when it's supposed to, but at this point it's just Ridge Runner. but in the future I expect there will be more. And I'll let you guys know when that happens. You know, and that's fine too, because I'm working on some processes and things to, like, you're always growing or you're just not, you're dying, I guess. I don't know what the saying is, but I've had to learn how to do some things a little bit differently to adjust to the volume, just with adding in Ridge Runner. And then, you know, looking forward, if I'm going to add another dealer, then I'm going to have to adjust again. And so I'm already thinking about that and looking at different things I can do to keep up with the volume. So it's a constant growth process, I guess you could say. Duck Rabbit, how's it going? Now I'm hearing sounds and I'm like freaking out because I'm like, is they gonna snarl up in there again? What's going on? It's been a great machine. I've never really had any issues with it. Had it for, well, I guess maybe 6 years now. But if it ever went down, I'm not sure what I'd do. I guess everything would be Kydex sheaths. No. I actually do have some Kydex sheaths to make, but getting these done first. I always overestimate, I guess, maybe my abilities, or not my abilities so much as the time that it will take me to do stuff. Or I should say I underestimate the time that it will take me to do stuff. And you know, that's a little frustrating sometimes. Good thing is I got a couple of these Sasquatch skinners that were working on 6 of those sheaths today. A couple of those are custom orders that'll be going out the door finally. So that's always a good feeling. So we're plugging away. Stay. I don't know why it keeps slipping off up there. It's just crazy the amount of peripheral stuff that you have to learn when you do something like this, because you know all these different tools that I use that previously I don't know anything about, and then you have to bobbin ran out. And then you have to learn how to troubleshoot and fix stuff as needed. Because you can't just always pay somebody to come fix little stuff, obviously. So whether it's a sewing machine or a power hammer or a belt grinder. Speaking of which, I gotta buy some stuff for that. So we've got a fresh bobbin here, but I think it's got one extra layer on here. I want to bind up the machine here. I'll save this for my kids. They're always coming and asking for string for projects, so that'll be the next piece I can just give them. Dad, can I borrow some string? Yeah, when you bringing it back? I mean, Dad, can I have some string? Sure, I guess. Here's a little bit. You betcha. So I gotta put this empty bobbin up here in the winder, so while the machine's running, it's automatically winding our new bobbin, our next bobbin, bits and bobbins, bits and bobs, you know, things like that. That's right. Freebies Forge. This is a 7 to 8 ounce veg tan. Full grain veg tan leather. Yes, sir. This here's the Locksaw River Skinner sheath, this little guy. Yeah, I'd say around 3 millimeters, something like that. Maybe 9/64. See you, Benjamin Brewer. So yeah, 3Bs. I used to hand stitch all my sheaths. You know, I wasn't doing as much volume back then, and still a lot of work. But and I don't know how many sheaths you're doing, but you know, probably you want to be doing a number, you know, on a regular basis to justify, you know, something like this purchase-wise. You know, if you're just doing, I have no idea how many you're doing, but if you're just doing a few, even just a few a week or something, then hand stitching is pretty reasonable. You gotta keep checking the chat because it disappears. Disappears on me. OG Frenchie. Mr. OG Frenchie. I have I think it's some forklift chain cable, not cable, like forklift chain that your buddy sent me to do a project with. In exchange for a shout out for your channel, and I have yet to get to it. I haven't had a chance to do a lot of YouTube stuff because I've just been too busy making knives. That's what's paying the bills. Shadell, how's it going? Thanks, OG Frenchie. I appreciate that. I haven't really talked about it, not like I need to talk about it, but kind of what I've been thinking, get your guys' thoughts on this, is a lot of what the channel's kind of been built around is like knife projects with sort of cool, different, unusual materials and things like that. And that seems to be what knife channels on YouTube thrive on. You know, that's what people want to see a lot of. But what I've been thinking about lately is that's, to me, that's kind of a really tiny scope of, you know, what I do, and in some ways the least authentic part of, you know, doing this for a living, because the numbers of like cool one-off, quote unquote cool one-off projects, and they are cool, you know, but like the vast majority of knives that I make, I don't make from you know, ball bearings or whatever, for example. And so to me, it's sort of a it's a tiny bit. It only represents a tiny portion of like this whole thing. And to me, there's just so much more underneath or behind this whole business for me personally and just the culture in general, which I would, I guess, describe as like, well, it's literally kind of where this business came from for me and my family in the first place. Just a self-sufficient mindset, lifestyle to some degree or another. You know, we're not off grid or anything like that, but just the being able to do some things for yourself when possible and to whatever degree you're able to. And in the past, you know, we did do some of that stuff that we're not currently doing just because we don't have the land or the space to do it right now necessarily, but sort of the self-sufficient lifestyle and mindset and outdoors, all of that kind of goes into what I do as a bladesmith and a knife maker. And so in that respect, there's just a lot more to like talk about and do videos on as far as I'm concerned, rather than just the sort of extreme bladesmithing project, you know. And that's something I've been kind of thinking about. So I've done a couple of videos along those lines and those in that vein. And, you know, by and large, they have not gotten hardly the same amount of views as some of those other projects. And I'm still going to do cool bladesmithing projects as time permits. But I'm thinking, you know, kind of starting, you know, beginning to maybe what's the word I'm looking for? Start growing the channel culture maybe in that direction a little bit more, towards a broader base of content, you know, that better reflects the underlying ethos of Fire Creek Forge, and I guess, you know, me and my family as you know, as people in the first place, you know. So that's kind of something I've been thinking about. And so yeah, I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed the EDC video, and because to me that's real life, you know. Like, I guess that's another way of putting it, is that, you know, these bladesmithing projects where you do a one-off project that's using some kind of, you know, admittedly interesting material, but not necessarily realistic to knife making particularly. That's less representative of real life, you know, of what this whole business and lifestyle is actually like. So I don't know, just a rambling here, just some thinking out loud kind of a thing. So, you know, what do you guys think? Mule power. Thanks, OG. Appreciate it. Come on now. My threads are being stubborn. there's a brand name for you, Stubborn Threads. Okay. And before we start on the Sasquatch Skinner sheath, last but not least, I got to sew up this left-handed Hudson Bay buoy sheath. Which is funny because this is like backwards, you know. Make sure I have enough welts. Mule ear buoy. Benjamin, it's you'll still be able to carry the sheath on the left side. For that Sasquatch. It's a little more, I'll show you in a minute here. It's a little more complicated of a sheath. I could do that in left-handed, but it's not, I mean, you can still carry it on the left side if you want. This sheath is only because somebody bought a Hudson Bay buoy from Jason at Ridgewinner Blades, and they want, well, they bought two actually. They want to be able to carry two at a time, and so that's, or two at a time in like a double holster kind of a deal, apparently. So. Okay. Yeah, so I'll be melting just those little ends of the threads with the lighter, and then got to finish the edge on all the sheaths. So that's a bunch to do on that. Well, not a bunch, but all that has to be done. Now we can do the Sasquatch sheaths. These are a little more complicated, quite a bit more complicated, because the nature of the shape of the Sasquatch, it can't, I mean, to make a pouch style sheath, you'd be making a really wide, goofy looking thing. And so what we have is a welt that comes around the edge, obviously, and then also just up partway so that you can actually get the knife out. And I still have to add a strap, a snap strap right here that I put on there. And then of course it's got a snap strap up here, which I have to finish those, cut them to length, and put the snaps on. So it'll have two sort of securing points right here, and then you unsnap those and you can actually get the knife out. So a little more complicated, but these are already, the belt loops are already sewn on these, and all we have to do is sew up the welt here on these sheaths. And I have them already paired up because these are a hand forged piece, you know, the Sasquatches are, of course, and they're all just a tiny bit different. Not much, but just a tiny bit, and I want the sheaths to fit just right. And so I've got, they're all in their own separate sheath right now, so so they don't get mixed up and you know, sit out of the sheath in like 1/8 of an inch or something. That's, you know, it would still work, but it wouldn't be, you know, quite what I'm being picky, okay? That's all I'm saying. But I can be picky. Can't tell me what to do. That's what my kids say. All right. Right up there. Where are we at? One more stitch. Wood stabilizing. I've done a little more. I've done some more wood stabilizing. Nothing, nothing crazy. I've done some walnut, some bog oak actually, and yeah, nothing super crazy. Glad you like that cap art on that in that sheath there. All right, so that's stitched up. Like I said, we got to finish the edges on here, and I got to put a snap on this one, and then add a snap down here, snap strap, and it'll be ready to go. So that's fun. Fun. Got 5 more of these to do. Stitch up. Okie dokie. And these all have ironwood on them, because ironwood's cool. All right, Keith, thank you. Appreciate it. Check that out. crud. It's got stuck on there, man. That's not good. The thread looped around part of the walking foot. And then it was stuck. Let's just put it that way. Can I just put it that way? It was stuck. Literally locked in there. Yeah, I am itching to get back to forging something because, like I said, I've been working on these big batch of knives here, which is awesome. But you know, you like, and all these Sasquatch spinners are forged, but you forge a batch of knives, and then you gotta obviously heat treat and grind and put handles on, make sheaths, and you know, by the time you rotate back around to forging something again, depending on the size of the batch and everything, that can be a little while. And then I've been also doing batches of stock removal knives, you know, with all some of my main models. So suffice to say, I haven't forged anything in a couple weeks now, actually. Well, actually, the last thing I forged was some hoof picks from horseshoes for my wife. But other than that, I mean, the last thing I forged anything was, at least a couple weeks ago. So, you know, that is one nice thing about it, is you do have a variety of things, pretty big variety of things you have to do, you know, to accomplish the whole thing. And so that is nice. And you're like, I miss forging. And you go back to forge and you do that for a little while and you do the other stuff. And so that you know, that is nice. But I need to do a big batch of hatchets. Big batch of trail hatchets, because the trail hatchet and the hand axe, the little guy, it's the same size axe head, you know. And I need to do a big batch of those. Look at the ironwood on this one. It's a lighter color with just some nice accents in there. Pretty sweet. I gotta show it. Oh, excuse me. Man, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Just tired. Hey, Micah, how's it going? OG, right now the lowest price knife that I make on a regular basis is $275. There's been some in the recent past I've sold for $250, depending on what they are. But that's That's kind of the lower end. To do something that was, yeah, probably, if I was going to do something that was $100, it would probably be like I don't know if I could even do it for that, but anything under, let's just say anything under 250 is going to be like probably like a neck knife or something that's like one piece steel little knife, with like a kayak sheath or something like that, but right now, yeah, 275 is the lower end for what I'm making right now. And that's a full-fledged knife. It's a little knife, but it's actually one of the more popular ones lately. The Locksaw River Skinner, and the Mini Mucks, there's 275 as well. And they're a full-fledged knife, of course, just a nice little size. Something is squeaking, and I can't tell what it is, where it's coming from. So I don't know. Had to consult with Mrs. Fire Creek. Sewing the leather, that is correct. Yeah, knife prices, like back in the day, I had a little knife that I sold for $150 for a while, you know, and oh, excuse me, I mean, prices go up, you know, and as you you know, if you're doing this for a business or whatever, you kind of, I mean, your prices are going to go up, but it also kind of depends on the market price of things, and your, you know, my knives in the overall, the broader handmade knife market are a really good value, and you know, it's not that somebody else couldn't make the same knife, you know, because not, it has to be a quality piece, but it's not even just about that. It's also about the name. And so when, you know, you spend a decade or however long building a business, building a brand, building a name, that is the reputation that you build for the kind of work that you do and the product that you're selling, that has value as well. And so somebody else could make the same exact knife, same exact quality, and not be able to sell it for as much because it's not worth as much, because they haven't built the name and the brand behind it. And that's true of anything. And so there's, when it comes to value in the marketplace, there's different aspects to that, if that makes sense. Run Gun, how's it going? Ransom, I think Ransom, I think I just sewed your left-handed buoy sheath. I think that was yours, right? See you later, Duck Rabbit. I guess you're gonna go do some work. Oh, you're still here. But, and I don't know, like, if you guys are just probably just kind of doing stuff as a hobby mostly. I don't know, most people are. But there's a lot that goes into, I mean, it's one thing to make knives, make good knives, which is important. But then when it comes to, you know, making a business or running a business or starting a business and making that happen, there's so much more that goes into it. So much more that goes into it. And, you know, that's something else that I thought about making some content on too. Again, it's probably not what the vast masses want to see necessarily, but, you know, I've become less concerned about making videos that are going to get, you know, hundreds of thousands of views. Most of my videos haven't got that many. Some have. And so I'm a little more thinking more about just kind of building a better culture foundation on the channel here than just pulling in, you know, views from random viewers, if that makes sense. because that's where most of your views on YouTube come from. But most of those people aren't really necessarily invested at all in the culture or the ethos of what you're doing. And so, you know, I don't know, it's just it's a different kind of thing, if that makes sense. Yeah, and it takes years to build that. But there's different things you can do. Obviously, you know, online is a big thing, but then and which is primarily what I've done actually. And then going to in-person venues. You know, stuff like that. That's just how it works. And it takes time. I'm gonna switch this all around here and bring the camera over on this side and see what happens. See what works here. Oh, what do we got here? I don't know if that's worse. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not good either. Well, we done sewed up all them sheaths, guys, but I still have to melt all the little bitty ends of thread. So we'll chat for a few more minutes here. We'll still do that. How's that? We can do that. What do we got here? My chat doesn't stay up here. It's ridiculous. YouTube, fix that, please. Is there a setting I can change? I don't know. I'm going into my 4th or 5th year of knife making now, and the only people that know me are the ones that have bought a knife. Like, probably less than 10% of the knife community knows me. Yeah, but here's the thing. Even if you get, let's say you got really well known on YouTube as a knife maker, for example, there's still going to be vast like portions of the greater knife community that aren't going to know about you, because that's what's interesting about it, is that you've got YouTube knife making or bladesmithing, and that's pretty big, I guess. And you can be, you know, you can be known to some degree or another on there. But then, like, you go to like a blade show down here in the States, for example, blade show. I'm going to be going to Blade Show Texas here. You know, this lighting is terrible. In a couple weeks, and nobody really knows me at the blade shows except for the people that happen to know me from YouTube and then come by the booth or whatever. Making my lighter out here. And so that's just the way it is. I mean, the knife world is really big, and so you can be. And another example would be like if you spend time on, which I don't, but if you spend time on like the internet forums, like blade forums or whatever, you know, there's a whole nother sort of sub community on there, for example. That's just a couple different examples. And then, you know, you can go to like I've done in a couple different instances for multiple years. You go to a local farmer's market and you have people come and buy knives from you. And that's actually always been generally been a good venue for me. you know, and those people, none of them know about blade show, you know, blade forms or the knife shows, you know, and so it's like there's just so many. On one hand, it's encouraging because there's just so many different little sub communities within and without outside of the larger knife community. So it really just takes time and getting your stuff out there. Having an online presence these days, of course, is generally speaking pretty important if you're trying to build a business of any kind. And online commerce is let's just say it's here to stay. Benjamin, appreciate it. Yeah, I think the YouTube channel, that's it's really been my main advertisement for a long time. I wasn't even on Facebook for a long time. I finally made a page last year, and it's pretty small, but I put stuff up there a little bit. But yeah, YouTube has kind of been my main media advertising, and I think it's been helpful with that. But I like to show people, you know, what it is. I better just pick this box up here instead of grabbing one at a time. I like to show people how stuff's made and everything. So. But yeah, it's real life. I mean, nothing's absolutely perfect, and a lot of times it's not easy to arrive at a satisfactory. See you later, Ransom. Like this last custom order I sent out, that Edwin Forrest buoy, finally got a result I was happy with, and yeah, I am picky, which is another, you know, that's another thing, is like over a long period of time you continue to put out a quality product. That's how you build a reputation. So anyway, that particular project, I literally had to redo the handle 4 times. And I had to redo the heat treat, or I had to do the heat treat twice. I had to redo it. And, you know, there's probably some makers that would have, you know, settled at one point or another. But, you know, and sometimes there's like minor cosmetic stuff that you can maybe discount a piece for or something like that. But just having a high expectation of quality for yourself is going to pay dividends in the long run. Now, that was kind of an anomaly because typically, obviously, you can't put a handle on 4 times and make it a profitable venture, and you know, rarely does that happen. But when you're working with a new design or new to you, there's a lot higher chance of having to, you're learning on the job basically, because there's different aspects and factors to different designs of knives and stuff. And so I finally got it done and got it to where I was happy with it, and I think it turned out really good. But it didn't work out just easy, you know. And I didn't do a video on that one. Well, actually, I did a live video on forging it, but I didn't do a full build video. And so, yeah, that one was that one was a little tougher. And the other thing too, Duck Rabbit, so I don't know what the percentage is, but on my channel, there's some people. I have clients, and I have for the bladesmithing content to learn from it and stuff like that, or sometimes both. But I would expect, I think that the percentage of people watching the channel who are here for the bladesmithing content and learning for their own projects and stuff is probably higher than people who are here to learn about a product that they might want to purchase. There's both, like I said, there's both on here. But my point is, if you're only like interacting with other bladesmiths on any platform, there's going to be some percentage of like potential customers and stuff. But if they're primarily other knife makers and stuff like that, that can be helpful in a lot of senses, but you're not necessarily contacting potential customers, if that makes sense. And so on some level, you have to also go to where the customers are. They're going to be mixed in as well, but the percentage of customers versus, other guys trying to do the same thing you are might be, a smaller percentage. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm, like I said earlier, I'm just feeling tired today. I don't know what's wrong with me. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you have a bladesmithing channel, and let's say you have, I have no idea what you have, but let's say you have 20,000 subscribers, probably most of those are going to be people who are interested in bladesmithing. And then, a much smaller number is going to be potential clients. And so to get to where you have more potential clients, you're going to have to grow that particular platform to more overall subscribers to get a decent number of potential clients in that pool, if you will. So another way to say it would probably be that all exposure is not equal. Like like if you're trying to sell ice cubes, don't advertise to Eskimos, kind of a thing. You're trying to sell ice. Just if that makes sense. Yukon says, this came up in my reading today. We're sharing Corinthians 16:13. First or Second Corinthians? Mule power. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure there's been YouTube comments and stuff. I know there is, where people are misinformed. That's just going to happen. Again, I can't remember what they were off the top of my head. But there's always going to be people that think they know what they're talking about and then don't. And that's okay as long as you're willing to learn. We can all be know-it-alls sometimes, I'm sure. JF, thank you. It's been a big blessing to have this. Like I say, back in the day, I stitched everything by hand, which was, that was a lot of work, laborious. All right, Yukon has a Bible verse. Let's pull out the book here. See what he's reading today. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Is that? Yeah. Brass bolsters, well, those cost more. So that's just the way it goes. How much money you want to spend? 1 Corinthians 16:13, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. And then the next verse, let all that you do be done in love, which we all need to be reminded of. At least I do. Mm-hmm. Well, we got another one, 2 Kings 2:23 and 24. Kings 2:23 and 24, but it's not going to be in NIV because I'm running the ESV. I also like the NKJV too, which I could grab that, but I've just been using the ESV. Yeah, this is a good story. Talking about Elisha, the prophet, protege of Elijah. And he went up there from Bethel to Bethel. While he was going up in the way, some small boys or youths, I don't know if small boys is necessarily the right translation or not. I think it says youths, like maybe teenagers, who knows, in other translations. Mocking him, and they jeered at him, saying, go up, you bald head, go up, you bald head. And he turned around, and when he saw them, he cursed them in the name of the Lord. And 2 she-bears came out of the woods and tore 42 of the boys. From there he went on to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria. There you go. Don't mock the prophet Elisha. That's the lesson for the day. Which you can't do that anymore because he's in heaven, he's not around anymore. But there you go. Ruffians, that's right. Always another maker critiquing your stuff. Yeah, see, that's another thing, self-awareness, you know what I'm saying? And I don't tell people anything about their knives unless they ask me. I think that's a good rule to follow. That's all I'll say about that. I think it's helpful to have people look at your knives who, well, competent people look at your knives and give you pointers and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, too, you know, you're the one making it, so you're the one that's going to have to be your own worst critic, basically. And so I think when it comes to like basic stuff, there's a lot that, you know, we should be able to police ourselves on, you know, individually. And then maybe when it comes to more like newer techniques or different things like that, that's where it can be helpful to have somebody look at your stuff and help you progress in that way. But I don't know, I just feel like on some level you should be able to look at your own work and be like, okay, yeah, this could be better, so on and so forth. Add some stitching here because what do we got here? Where'd my snippy snips go? There. Yeah, Elisha the prophet didn't mess around now, did he? Wheel power. Yeah, I mean, you just can't take people too seriously unless you know that they know that they know what they're talking about or something. I mean, honestly, doing YouTube, I think you kind of get used to that because you get a lot of you get a lot of people's opinions, and you know, it's like, okay, well, whatever. Everybody can have an opinion. It's kind of like, well, if you want to make it that way, you can go ahead and do that. Go make your own knife the way you want to, and then do a YouTube video on it. Which typically never happens, of course. Because it's way easier to just, you know, post a comment or make a comment instead of actually go do the thing yourself. But then there's people with genuinely trying to help you out. But like I said, I don't tell people stuff about their knives unless they ask me. Because unless they want help, it's not going to probably be perceived as that. Okay. Yeah, so these guys, the next thing I got to do, obviously, do some trimmage on these snap straps. Put the snaps on. Add snap straps. It's got a little, what I do is I put a snap on either side and put a strap right here around this. Kind of holds it in there nicely. And it can be snap release from either side. And then it's all nice and got some retention on it. And you can just take it out pretty easy once the snap straps are popped open. But yeah, the sewing part is done. We've done sewed them all up. And gonna be sending some of these out this week. Finally. So I'm gonna go get something to eat. And then I'm going to finish the sheaths, the snaps and everything. And I got to make Kydex sheaths for some knives. That's probably not going to happen until tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. And I know today was a little bit of a slower live stream, but you know, ebb and flow, right? So keep plugging away. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and we will see you on the next video. Take care.